Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jessica Abernathy, and with me today is Tricia Montgomery, and you are listening to Pets Are Family.
Welcome back to Pets Are Family podcast. Jessica, it is so good to see you. Gosh darn it.
Yes, it is. You too. It's been a little bit.
Little bit of a hot minute here because we are now streaming on the Red Coral Universe platform. We're also on YouTube, and you can find us anywhere on Spotify and all kinds of those other great channels. Guys, today we are beyond thrilled to have Kat Strong with us. She is a hospital manager for Veg ER out of Fort Myers. I will say to you, I have been in the veterinary profession since 1993. And when I walked into the open house of Veg ER, I was blown away, just blown away. Kat, welcome to Pets Are Family podcast. We are beyond thrilled that you're here.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This is such an honor.
It is our honor. I want to talk to you, Kat. Really, you guys, in my opinion, and I would imagine many others, and probably your founder, you have completely reimagined what the ER experience looks like from pet care. And you've done this, but was there something broken in traditional emergency vet care that needed to change?
Honestly, I don't know if I can say it's broken. I'll leave that up to the listener, truthfully. But all I can say is prior to working at Veg, I did work in general practice. I, of course, had pets of my own, and my pets are my children because I don't have any human children yet. And so if I ever experienced an emergency with them, my expectation was that if I were to go to the ER, I would be able to stay with them and remain with them just like you would a human child. But I found that that wasn't the case, and oftentimes they were taken away from me, removed like to the back room, the mysterious back, which I only really knew what that meant because I was in vet med. But thinking
Right.
about it from the customer's experience or the owner's experience, it's terrifying. You don't know what's back there, and you can only imagine what's in that treatment room or what's in the back, and all you hear are other pets or your own pet maybe crying, and that sounds terrifying. So at Veg, we're completely open concept. We eliminated the waiting room, we eliminated the reception desk. So when you first walk into the hospital, you're in the treatment area, you're in the back, you're where the magic happens. We never separate you from your pet the entire time you're at the hospital. Even if they're hospitalized, even if they go into surgery, you can be right there if you want to.
I am just fascinated by this. So we were taken for the open house in Fort Myers. We got taken into the back area, and you got a pull-out couch, so you can actually sleep with your pet, and you can scrub in for surgery. Talk
Yeah.
to me about that. How does that work?
So the pull-out couch you're talking about, we have a few exam rooms because, of course, there are going to be those cases where people are more comfortable in an exam room. Pets might be more comfortable in an exam room. So we treat people, like humans, and we treat pets like family. So we're like, wherever they're most comfortable. First, I'll start out by saying, like, we always sit on the floor. So whether it's a cat, a little chihuahua, or a big dog, odds are they're going to be more comfortable on the surface that they're familiar with, which probably isn't an exam table. It's going to be the floor. So all of our staff is comfortable with being on their knees, sitting on their butt on the floor, and just having a conversation with the owner and performing an exam right there. But then also, if they don't like the chaos, like imagine a cat, most times they're stressed being removed from their home environment and brought to this scary area. They're not going to want to hear all the noise. Or if it's a bird, exotic animal, rabbit, something like that. We do have the exam rooms, which are soundproof, so they don't hear all the madness that's going on outside in an ER. Or for those families that have to make those really tough decisions and just need some privacy and some time alone with their pet, we have that option too. Those exam rooms can be converted into, what we call the Veg Hotel. So if their pet's hospitalized and they want to stay with their pet, like stay the night, we'll actually
Yeah.
pull out the couch, make it into a bed, and give mom and dad a place to stay with their dog or their cat while they're hooked up to IV fluids and they get all their treatments. It's not going to be the best night's sleep. I can promise you that, because it's just like in a human hospital where a nurse is coming in every hour on the hour. So you're not going to get a full night's sleep, but at least you get to remain with your pet the whole time. And then you mentioned surgery. Last week, we actually had on 2 different cases that had a surgery. The owners had no medical experience whatsoever, but they were very intrigued about the surgery. So our nurses helped them scrub in properly so that they could go into the OR and actually watch the surgery performed with a hands-on experience. So the doctor was able to show them literally what was happening. One was a foreign body. We were removing some, I can't remember what it was that came out of the dog's belly, but we removed something. And then there was a pyometra, a cat that had a pyometra. So their owner got to see the uterus when it was pulled out, and the infection that it's also. That had an impact on them. They got to see the value of what was being done and the care that was being provided to their pet.
I have no words. I have to say that, because you're educating pet owners and you're giving them a glimpse inside the life of their pet. And I think you're really helping them become better pet parents. Because how many times have you had reoccurring emergencies like, oh, we got into this, now I got a sock, now you did this, now you got, and it's the same old, same old. To me, it's so much more impactful if you see this and you're like, oh my God, this is what's happened. Would you agree with that?
Exactly, yes. And I'll even go a little bit further and say, because we're open concept and owners can be around each other in our treatment area, or if you're hospitalized. So imagine you're sitting in front of the kennel where your cat or dog is hospitalized. We'll even let them out of the kennel and sit on your lap. But next to you is someone else that has their small dog there hospitalized. You're naturally going to engage in conversation, like, what are you here for? What are you here for? And then you start talking about the experience. And so not only are you learning about the experience that your own pet's having, but you get to share that with the people around you and learn from the people around you. So we've had client education experiences just because they got to witness what was going on at the table next to them. It's so cool.
That's the power of the human-animal bond. And I think that's just incredible that you're not separating, that you're allowing that interaction and that relationship, because that's really where everything's starting.
Mm-hmm.
Emergency medicine, and well, first of all, any veterinary experience, in my humble opinion, is emotional. It always is. It's it's anthropomorphism at its finest, where my feelings are coming out through the pet. How do you work with your teams, and you guys are nationwide? How do you work to balance the urgency with the compassion? Because I would imagine that's a fine line we're drawing.
I honestly feel like a lot of the cases that come in now, when I first started with Veg, I was on the customer experience side of things. So I was that first line of defense. When you walk in the door, you saw my face, you talked to me right away, and I took you to the doctor. But there were a lot of clients that came in. There were those emotionally charged cases where it's like panic. And truly what helped them the most was being seen and heard right away. So like not being met by a waiting room, not being met by a front desk where you have to check in or sign an estimate right away, but having that ability to speak to a doctor immediately put them at ease, so much so that they were able to focus on the care that's being provided to their pet. There are those really intense cases. I'm going to go like really extreme and say, for those cases that unfortunately come in deceased and they need CPR, owners are frantic. Either it happened on the way to the hospital or just prior to coming to the hospital. When you're in that heightened emotional state, odds are you're not going to be able to provide information. You're not going to be able to receive information. Now, I know my team to know, and when I was a CEC, or customer experience coordinator is what we call them, I knew that my team was going to focus immediately on that patient. All I needed was CPR status from the owner. Do you want us to try to resuscitate? That's what they know. That's all they know when they come in is like, yes,
Right.
save my baby. So we get that green light, the team gets going on that. They're not even speaking to the owner. That's my focus. So I'm doing breathing exercises with them. I'm breathing with them. Let's get to a place where you can at least calm down a little bit. It's actually a passion of mine, learning how to like regulate your heart rate in the moment and deal with stress. I love high stress environments, so it's just a passion of mine. So learning new ways to navigate those challenging conversations and get owners to a place where I can then tell them what is going to happen. I'm not going to collect all of your personal information right away. I'm just going to let you know that right now they're doing everything they can to save your pet. In a moment, the doctor's going to come over and they're going to have some questions for you. So my focus right now is getting you to a place where you're prepared to answer those questions. What do you need from me? Do you need to calm down a little bit? Do you need a minute? Is there anybody with you? Stuff like that. How can I make you comfortable? Can I get you water? Can I get you something to eat? Is your blood sugar low? Stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Jessica, any thoughts here?
No, I think I just ate chili too, and my stomach's gurgling. Thank you very much for the conversation. And we were here going, don't throw up. Just don't throw up. This is not going to be good. Didn't think about that before our conversation. So it's cool. It's very cool what you guys have. It's a great concept. I mean, but I can see people freaking out, walking in at the same time and forever, but losing their, I'm not going to swear, but losing their mind, losing their poop emoji,
Yeah.
And that's got to be hard. So I can see your job being very valuable. I mean, more so than ever before.
I think that it's because we see more success stories than we do those really hard cases. I would say most of our patients walk out the door. Once they come in, they get to leave. And that's what the rest of us celebrate. So me and my staff will celebrate the wins. We will become invested in cases. So when they leave the hospital, like that's a win for us too. We celebrate that. We celebrate that with the family. Like we are truly vested in that. And I think because we have a motto of like find a way to say yes. So because we have the flexibility and the team knows that like we can bend the rules, just because it costs this much and mom can't afford that doesn't mean that we can't bend the rules a little bit and find a way to make it happen for them. So I think because we have that flexibility too, it preserves the mental the emotional load of working in emergency medicine. It really helps us retain our staff and gives them the autonomy and the freedom to make decisions that they feel they need to make in that individual moment.
We need one of you down the road from my house. We do. Tricia knows how I feel about the ERs here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not good at all.
Oh.
Well, I think even the experience that I had, and Kat, we have Band-Aids on our fingers. I just noticed that we have kind of matching Band-Aids going on there. So I don't know. But one thing that struck me was I had an emergency. I won't go into it, but I contacted an emergency hospital, and the first thing that they said to me is, it's going to be $500. Do you have a credit card? We have to take your payment the minute. And that was it. That's what happened when I walked in. And, no like lovey, emotional, no, how are you, no relationship, like I need your credit card now. And, cold, sterile environment. I'm sitting out alone outside, just same as you, and you're out there and you hear the cries, you hear the screams, and, and the whines, and is that my pup, is that my cat, and just very, very, very impersonal. And I wonder, in looking at just a thought, is this something that veterinary medicine can now learn from your team? Is that possible?
I hope so. I mean, I would say that I would beg to argue that that's what our CEO, Dr. David Bessler, that's what his vision is to change veterinary ER and to change the industry as a whole, because it's been a long time coming. We've noticed that there's a lot of toxicity in vet med. There's a reason why we have the highest suicide rate than any other field. And I think it's time that something changes. And I truly believe that I've been with the company for 5 years now. I truly feel that Veg is paving a way for the veterinary field to get out of that toxic environment that we've been surviving in for however long, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you and think about cultural burnout, and then from a standpoint of compassion fatigue and, protecting your team, you guys, from what I understand, you are known for being super selective and qualities. And I was at one of your grand openings, and I think your lead veterinarian thanked her parents for getting her to where she was. And I think it was just, I was so moved on that day. I've been in veterinary medicine since '93. I look at what you're doing, and you're doing things differently.
Mm-hmm.
You just are.
I met so many of my staff's parents that night. It was amazing.
I'd like to thank my mom and my dad. Thank you for putting me up and the money. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. I just want to hug you. Yeah, it was.
I absolutely love that, because like we try to find opportunities to come together like that. I've always tiptoed around the idea, and as a leader, I've found that it can be really uncomfortable for some workplaces to refer to their team as family, because they don't act like family. Like, you're not
Correct.
there for me in the hard times. And so I'm very careful about using that type of terminology in my work environment with my people, because I don't want them to feel like I'm overpromising. I want them to feel like I'm actually following through on the things that I'm saying. So I expect feedback from my team. I expect them to hold me accountable. If I'm not holding up my end of the bargain, I want to know about it. And I make it very clear to them, we're fun, we're playful in that way too. I want them to know that, like, we have friendly banter. It's part of the veg culture too. And you mentioned us being very selective about our team. I can say at Veg Fort Myers, the medical director, nurse manager, and I, for 6 months prior to opening, interviewed almost 400 candidates to select our staff of 30 people.
Are you serious?
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
Wow. That's insane.
400.
Not insane in a good way, very good way, but that's a lot.
It is
So
a lot.
you went from 400 candidates for 30 positions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What qualities are most important to you and your team, Kat?
So obviously skill is very important to us. And we found that this particular area in Southwest Florida, skill was very hard to find. So so pairing skill also with the mindset that's comfortable with the open environment. Many people that have been in vet med for decades just have never worked in front of the owner, and the idea of suddenly doing it in a high case volume, high stress environment, now immediately in front of the owner that's also emotionally charged, that's terrifying for some people. And so I'm not opposed to bringing on a team member that's nervous about it or scared about it, but if they're reluctant and very if they're not on board with finding a way to make it happen and curious, I look for that curiosity and that interest in working with owners. I love finding candidates that are interested in client education and that focus a lot on that human-animal bond. It is crucial to us because we want that owner to have a part in their pet's vet med experience. And so I'm looking for people that are interested in saying, Mom, do you want to come over while we're placing this IV catheter and just pet your cat's head? Or, Mom, do you mind holding on to your pup real quick while we give sub-Q fluids or something like that? I want them to find ways to incorporate the owner into the care. And so I asked really hard questions in the interview process to filter out those people that it was actually easy to identify them once we did, but there weren't very many, to be honest. And I think it's because it's new.
Yeah, I
Veg is
agree.
brand new to this area,
Well,
so
and also bedside manners are not taught in veterinary medicine. They're just not. I mean, they're all about the pets. They're not about the people. And we know, or at least that when people go into veterinary medicine, they go into veterinary medicine because they don't really like people. But you gotta have a love for both pets and their parents. You just have to.
yeah.
And a personality. You absolutely have to have that. Is
What made it
there?
really
Go ahead.
what made it really like even harder for a lot of people is Veg is their Hail Mary. So like they're already burnt out. They're already looking for an exit door to vet med because they've had
Ah,
such toxic experiences before. So the idea of trying something completely new for some was really refreshing, but for many people it was like very taxing. And the idea
yeah.
of relearning something is just too much for them and just would put them over the edge, they fear.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that because it's almost like what are you going to unlearn? What are you unlearning? What are you
Hmm.
learning? And I think unlearning is as much importance as learning is because you have to, you're fishing on the same side of the boat. I'm used to those same thing, doing the same way, and how do you break those habits? Is
Hmm.
there, Kat, I know you guys have only been open for a month now, but you've been with the team. Is there a case that has just stuck with you from, a human connection standpoint that just stands out that you could share with us and share with our
Yes,
audience?
I might cry a little bit if that's okay, but I'll try to get through it. So, our medical director, Dr. Gonzalez, her and I worked together prior to Veg Fort Myers. We worked at our South Tampa location. We had an owner there who was an older gentleman who suffered from memory loss. And he would come in about every other day because he believed that his cat's name was Julie, it was a male cat. Um, he believed that he had urinary blockage. And so he was terrified that his cat was blocked. And he kept coming in every other day, forgetting that he was just in and had him checked out. And he kept a little journal that documented every trip. And so we would put notes in there for him, like Julie presented on this day, wasn't blocked, it was okay to go home. But nevertheless, he'd come back, didn't have the funds to do anything, but we stopped charging for it. Like, we just, at this point, we recognized that the need was for him to have that peace of mind and knowing that his cat wasn't blocked. And that was his whole world. He was all by himself. We sent someone to do a, we even like contacted the county to just make sure that he's okay
A
since
well
he didn't
check.
have any, yeah, like a wellness check just to make sure that he was okay. When the hurricanes came through, we made sure that he was okay and that he was taken care of. But nevertheless, he still came in with Julie, still getting checked out. And the doctors at South Tampa, when you come to an ER, you never know what doctor you're going to see. So the whole team was familiar with Julie at this point. And everyone knew that inevitably it was going to come the time that Julie was going to pass. And that they did not want to be the one that had to do that, had to euthanize Julie. Because Julie was really declining in health too during all these visits. And Dr. Gonzalez was actually the doctor on the case when this gentleman brought Julie in, and it was end of life conversation. And we had to document in the journal that Julie had passed. And he called us a few days later. We offered to even go home and bury Julie for him, but he said that he wanted to do that himself. He called back um, the next day, forgetting that he had euthanized Julie, so we had to have that conversation with him again. And this happened repeatedly, but it definitely took a toll on the team. But we were just thankful that we could be there for him and be there for Julie when Julie needed it most. And I'm just really proud to work for a team that loves people that much and loves people's pets that much. So that
Oh,
case will stick with me forever as a prime example of how we truly value people and their pets, especially being there for them when they need it most. And we bend the rules. We find a way to say yes.
Oh,
That's a
I
great
can't.
story.
That was
I need to
beautiful.
get
That was
sorry.
so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think our audience is gonna, I think just there is no box. There are no rules, in my opinion. I think it's not thinking outside the box. There is no box, and you do what you need to do to
Yeah.
make that happen, and find whatever reason to say yes. I think you've got that on your when you walk in your
Hmm.
in your thing. For the uh, for pet parents who are listening, what are really, I think sometimes we overlook these signs, but what are some signs that you need to go to the ER now? What are some things that pet parents would need to know? And what emergencies do people wait too long on?
Hmm. Are we talking specifically to the Florida area?
Just anywhere,
Well, I
yeah.
think
Or
I'm probably one of those moms that wait too long. You know what I mean? If you think about it, 4 hours of his butt bleeding on Sunday probably was waiting too long. You
Well,
know,
all I can say, I'm not a doctor, and so I can't provide medical advice, but I can say that a lot of people are reluctant to go to the ER because they're afraid of the cost, or they're afraid of the
yeah,
amount of time that it's going to take out of their day, or how long's the wait gonna be and stuff like that. So at Veg, we make it really easy. You can call any of our locations at any time and ask to speak to a doctor. You will be on the phone with a doctor that's on the floor, no charge. You can have a conversation with them about the symptoms you're seeing. And
oh
if
my God.
the doctor feels it's an emergency, they'll tell you to come in. If it's not an emergency, and it doesn't sound like you can only triage so much over the phone, of course, um, but if they feel that it's something that can wait and go to your primary care physician, they'll advise you to do that. We're not just trying to get every case in the door. There will be a lot of times though where they say, I need to get eyes on this pet just to determine that. In some
Yeah.
cases, they won't even charge for the exam fee depending on what it actually is. If it's just for the peace of mind, like just come in, let me take a peek. They look okay. All right, go on your way, type of thing. So I'd say
Wow.
if you are concerned about what your pet's experiencing, don't wait. Just call your vet, call a veg, ask to speak to a doctor, and they'll be able to advise you on next steps.
How many locations do you all have now, Kat?
We were the 120th, and I believe there have been 5 that opened since us, so 125.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Congratulations to you and I
Thank
mean, to the
you.
team and your founder. Absolutely. Where do you see emergency veterinary medicine in 5, 10 years? Where do you see it going, Kat?
Well, I do see veg having an influence on
Yeah,
what the experience looks like for
I
other
do too.
people.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of primary care hospitals and other emergency hospitals come to Veg just to sit in for the day, just to say, "Can I see how this actually works?" Or I do have some primary care like managers and medical directors that own practices, they'll say like, "This is great, but does it actually work? Like, how long does it last? Like, if I were to come back 6 months from now, would this still be the same?" And I challenge them. I say, come back in 6 months from now. Come hold me accountable. If there's anything that you see different that isn't better, you let me know. So we invite those people to come in, see what's going on in the hospital, and then take that back to their hospital. We don't have secrets. We're open concept.
I am absolutely incredible because the thing is, if you share, you're only educating, you're only helping veterinary medicine. But if you hide it, it's like, oh, this is mine, mine, mine. Nobody benefits in the long run, including you. So I think everybody's welcome to the party. I mean, Jessica and I talk about that all the time from being, inclusive versus exclusive. Everybody's welcome. I mean, that's with Moose's March. Everyone's welcome. Um, what if you could give some advice for somebody entering or wanting to become a veterinary technician or emergency medicine or shelter? What's one piece of advice that you would give, Kat?
I would shadow. I would ask to shadow every type of veterinary medicine that you possibly can think of, even if you're not interested in it. So that means shadow somebody that's in general practice, shadow someone that's in emergency, shadow shelter medicine. It all looks vastly different. If you want to try zoo medicine, like try that too. Do an internship somewhere. Just exposure to all the different options that are out there before honing in on exactly what it is that you want to pursue. Because I found that a lot of technicians only knew GP, and so they went through the process of getting certified. They had to study things related to zoo medicine, shelter medicine, and emergency medicine. But then when they got a career in general practice 10 years down the road, they don't remember anything from emergency medicine. So when they then decide to transfer over to emergency, it was quite challenging for them. They just had to learn. They felt like they were starting from square one again, and it can be really discouraging. So I would say just get exposure. Don't be afraid to get eyes on what that position actually looks like before pursuing the career.
Wow, wow, wow. Kat, this has been fascinating. We have a fun thing that we do at the end of the show. We're going to do some rapid fire questions, and it's just one answer and one answer only. So I'm going to throw out the question, and you're going to answer very quickly and with one answer. One myth about ER care.
One myth about ER care?
Yep.
That it's all about the money.
Ooh, most common emergency you see.
Blocked cat.
Hardest case emotionally.
Heat stroke.
One thing every pet parent could have done at home.
Ooh, that is a really good one. Probably had an emergency savings for their pet.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with that. How do pet parents prepare for emergencies? How do they prepare? What do you recommend?
I would say have an emergency fund available. I personally, just through my experience in vet med and when I think about any general emergency, most emergencies you can get by with $1,000. That's not saying, like, obviously there's going to be emergency surgeries and stuff that are going to be much more than that, but having that starting point, like, get yourself a good emergency savings of at least $1,000 just to set aside. If you don't need it, amazing, but just set it aside in case of an emergency like this, so that there's no questions asked when you come in. You can feel comfortable without feeling like you're not going to be able to pay your groceries, stuff like that. So just have an emergency savings.
Just a question for you, Kat. Sorry, keep continuing on with this line of questioning. What percentage of the public or the people that come in don't have that $1,000?
Now, I know this statistic only from, I'm a big follower of Dave Ramsey, who is a financial planner and everything. And
know him well? Yeah.
1 in 3 families are not prepared to cover an emergency that costs $1,000. So I would say that that's probably consistent with vet med as well. Yeah.
Wow. Kat, Jessica, do you have anything else you'd like to ask of Kat?
No, you covered it all, especially in the rapid fire. You really did.
Wow. Kat, this is we see. Excuse me. Hello, Mr. Brutus. How's your butt doing?
Say it looks like I got a giant pimple on my butt right now.
Kat, this has been wonderful. How can people find you? How can people find out about Veg ER?
You can look up Veterinary Emergency Group or veg.com, and you can learn all about us. You can find the nearest location to you. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and all the social media platforms. I don't do that, but someone manages it, and it's fantastic.
I love that. Kat, it has been just our honor and our joy to have you. Truly, our audience is just, they're going to love this, and I thank you for sharing your experience. I think you could spend your time with anybody. Thank you for spending it with us today.
Well, thank you. I had a great
Right.
time chatting with you guys.
Oh,
Yes,
so much.
Thanks, and bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Thanks for listening to Pets Are Family. You can find us on all the channels now. Yes, all of the channels now. So make sure you share us with your friends, your families, and your coworkers, and anybody that has a pet. Make sure you like us, give us your feedback, tell us if anything that you want us to talk about, all that fun stuff. You can reach me at jessica@petsourfamily.net or Tricia at petsourfamily.net. Thank you for everything that you guys do, but make sure you like us, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. You can always see what we're up to. And we want to thank all of our sponsors, all of the people that support us. We love every one of you, and we can't thank you enough. And remember, check out Moose's March, moosesmarch.com, moosesmarch.com. Come check us out. Talk to you guys soon. We'll see you next week. Bye.